Hey team, let's get into this review. It's a book called Let's Get Real, 42 Tips for the Stuck Manager by Binod Shankar, and it's authored here in the United Arab Emirates. A book of 4 chapters and 42 tips. I've got a big cup of coffee to get me through this one. He uses the word manager, and I think in this case it's interchangeable in that great debate of manager versus leader. I think what he's actually trying to push is the leadership side of things. Binod Shankar has a finance background, works as an executive coach, blogger, platform speaker, and the host of the Real Finance Mentor podcast. He's a chartered accountant and endurance athlete. This seems to be a self-published book through the Motivate Media Group. I was gifted this book and it has sat on my shelf. I finally picked it up and read it. It has pushed my boundaries of what I think effective leadership and management is and should be. I have sat in shock at some of the advice, laughed and been silenced. There are books we read that influence us, others that challenge us, and some that confront us. There are 42 pieces of advice here. Some pieces are helpful, and others I don't think I could align with. The author has seemed to have put every bit of leadership, administrative, and management advice he has to offer in one book. There are parts that could become a whole book in themselves, and I think parts that really shouldn't be in the book at all. Parts I sit in disbelief that have been published, and others I can resonate with. Some are so oversimplified that it makes really difficult things seem easy, when in fact they are far from it. Many things are set like a checklist, do this and your problems will be solved. Some suggestions are just simply ethically wrong. I was very tempted to code each tip with a yes, no, no way potential code, but then decided that it was better for you to make your own mind up. Let's get into it. I've listed the 42 tips below. Let's get into it. 4 chapters. Chapter 1, Knowing Yourself. And I've got a real vibe about knowing yourself as a leader. Tip 1, know your values. Know what drives you and where you're aligned. Were you aligned or not? Tip 2, how to ensure that you fit in. Culture. Align with the culture of the workplace. Be informed before you decide to go and join a company or not. Tip number 3, there are 12 signs you need to boost self-awareness, and they're listed out here. 1, you keep repeating mistakes. 2, you never change. 3, you think you're God's gift to management. You're flawless. And yes, those are the words used. Number 4, you live in denial and probably believe that you are right. Number 5, you promise to change. Your promise to change is superficial. Promises mean nothing. Number 6, people keep telling you that you haven't changed. You're stuck. Number 7, you take criticism personally. You are embarrassingly defensive. Number 8, you ascribe failures to others and circumstances. In comes self-ignorance and ego. Number 9, you have one rule for yourself and another for others. There is hypocrisy. Number 10, you don't know why you're stuck in your career. You don't and everyone else seems to. 11, you're unaware of your cognitive and emotional biases. You are self-serving. And number 12, you don't understand and you're not curious about why most people have issues with you. You are wonderfully blind. That was chapter 1. Chapter 2 moves on to managing yourself now that you're self-aware. Tip number 4, take charge of your career. Are you stuck? Are you in the same position, the same firm for a long time? Are you out of touch? Do you have unachieved goals? Your peers keep moving up and you're just comfortable. Number 5, coaching can propel your career. So it suggests that you discover yourself, question your biases, dismantle saboteurs, uncover your strengths, find a sounding board, raise your profile and inject confidence. all in 3 pages. Tip number 6, how to get the best out of coaching. And it really focuses on the coachee, not the coach. Talk about goals, outcomes, be clear, be coachable, take responsibility, practice self-reflection. Don't be passive, ask for advice. Don't be passive, don't ask for advice outside of the scope of work. Don't stay in your comfort zone. Don't commit to what you can't keep to, and don't bottle it up. If only it were that easy. Tip number 7, be interested to be interesting. Being boredly is deadly. Review the way you work. Do things apart from your work. Network. Become interesting. Tip number 8, adapt and thrive. Step back and look at your personality. Reflect, how did you become this way? Stop, rebuild, and remember that progress takes time. Number 9, blow your own trumpet bigly. Speak up about what you have achieved. If you don't, no one else is going to notice. And tip number 10, the importance of having your opinion. Think critically. An informed and independent opinion is important. Gain a worldview, listen to others, read widely, research, think differently. Those with different opinions stand out. Tip number 11, reading books is a leadership habit. Knowledge is power. Keep current, stay challenged. Learn from great mentors through their perspective. Broaden your perspective. Learn from great mentors through their work and broaden your perspective. And from me, even through bad books, it challenges your practice. Tip number 12, surround yourself with the right people. Love this quote. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and that's from Jim Rohn. Remember, you are the company you keep, so choose your circle wisely. Tip number 13, a healthy body for impactful leadership. Start with essential work habits. Say no and learn to delegate. Then move on to your self-health. Get a health checkup. Cut connections with those who hinder you. Look at fitness, food, and mental well-being. Tip number 14, the upside of self-motivation. Try to move something without someone pushing you. Do it yourself. Self-regulate. No one likes unpredictable employees. Few will bother to push you. Be your own best friend. The higher you go, the lonelier it is. Get engaged in your work and gain emotional intelligence. Manage who you are. Get mentally tough. Gosh, there's a whole package in there. And tip number 15, leverage the bountiful blessings of long experience. Master your craft. Know what you are good at and what you suck at. Yes, that is actually written in the book. Know your reactions. And we're whipping through transformations here, so let's rip into tip number 16, how to stand out from the crowd. This is about visibility. Network, create opportunities, follow opportunities, jump into leadership wherever you can find it. Upskill your qualifications and skills. Look at the bigger picture. Know the business that you are in. Excel in communication. Network, initiate projects, and red flag issues early. Have fun. And tip number 17, overcoming the paralysis through analysis syndrome. The impact of over-analysis. You know, what are they? The impacts. You squander time, you lose the big picture, you irritate your, I like this, juniors, and micromanage. You know, there's a quote in there that says, be careful about letting the ops guys, the lawyers, the engineers, accountants, or analysts drive a strategic meeting. You'll get micro-obsessed. I'm not sure about that one. I have to let my cynicism go. Tip number 18, why you must be disagreeable, aka Nice guys finish last. Okay. So say no more than you say no more than you say yes. Give no bullshit feedback. Unhesitatingly fire people. Yeah, you heard it. Delegate. Stop being a pushover. Tip number 19, how to pay your uniqueness is an asset. Be non-conformist. Be authentic. Don't be scared of a revolution. Value difference, but still balance acceptance. Courage is key. I like that, being a non-conformist and being authentic, but then, okay. Tip number 20, think before you talk. Most people react quickly and negatively when they don't need to, and it's because egos are fragile. The importance of this one, according to the book, is don't react in this way because think of your reputation. Number 22, are you busy or productive? I love that catchphrase. However, why are you busy? Is it perfectionism? Are you a micromanager? Are you unable to delegate? Do you have the inability to say no? Are you over-meetinged? Are you focused on the small stuff? Are the policies in your building or in your business too restrictive? Check your values. Take a break or a vacation. Set boundaries. Know yourself. Identify issues and schedule time for yourself. I wish it were that easy. Tip number 22, how to play the corporate Game of Thrones. I found this one super interesting because I am useless at politics. Understand corporate politics. For example, best performers don't get the promotions they deserve. Careers move because of who you know. Favoritism exists. Inconsistent HR policies help people stay and move up. There is too much dysfunctional rivalry and empire building. Good ideas get blocked. Ex-employees influence. Decisions are made on anecdotal, not actual evidence. Closed and formal groups rule. Personal dislikes influence. Envy and insecurity impacts, and alliances win. That sounds truly toxic, and I just don't want to work in that environment. So the solution to this is, number one, play the game. Number two, understand the real organisation chart and who actually has the power, and work your way to join that informal network. Build relationships with the powerful people. Don't be naive. Listen actively. Deliver quality work consistently. In other words, play the game. Tip number 23, the science of dealing with jerks. Yep, it says jerks. Get perspective. Exercise, laugh, talk to someone. Understand that this shall pass. It doesn't suggest that you confront with it, deal with the culture or anything like that. It just says get perspective and work with it. Go for a run, exercise, laugh. Number 24, a great future doesn't require a great past. That says, like, don't worry about your past and get on to the future. And then the author goes on and talks about a no regrets attitude is bullshit. Regret can improve decisions, however, boost performance and deepen meaning. However, don't ruminate. Do show some self-compassion, self-disclosure, self-distance. Minimize your regret. And I would suggest it's easier said than done. Let's move on to chapter 3 now that we've got through all of that and look at managing others. So tip number 25, how to hire assets, no liabilities. And one of the quick summaries in there, it says, fire the duds that you do hire quickly. Don't let them hang around because they'll become toxic in the workplace. Now, there is some value in that, if that were possible, or you could work on them. However, he also believes that people don't change. So grasp the basics of psychology and apply these to interviews. Avoid generic questions like that one. Get others' perspectives and diversify your team. Beware of hiring your tribe. Yeah, there's real value in that. Don't clone yourself. Check values and don't overemphasize attitude. You need skills too. And here we go. Remember that people don't change. Okay, context and environment might influence that. However, number 26, the fine art of delegation. Leaders either over or under delegate. Get clarity about what has to be done, consider the workload and the situation, charm-proof the work, and ensure that the person is fit for task. I think there's a little bit more to delegation than that. Tip number 27, how not to be a jerk. So don't hire the jerks and then don't be a jerk. There are a lot of jerks, so the behaviour around you can look normal. People kiss the asses of those further up the food chain, and jerks enjoy it. Yes, this is in the book. Egos exist. There are jerky leaders living with delusion and in denial. Get feedback, be motivated, develop self-awareness, and set expectations of others and yourself. Tip number 28, humour is an underestimated leadership skill. Humour in the workplace is low and almost non-existent. Humour has a positive impact. It relaxes others, connects and bonds, and makes you stand out. You are more likeable. It demonstrates confidence and competence. Employees rate you higher. Humour breaks seriousness and makes you more approachable. If it is self-deprecatory, I love that word, it always trips me up, it shows that you are humble and relatable. Then people will want to follow you. Learn humour. I just don't get that. Okay, I enjoy humour and my workplace is full of humour. And when we get into self-deprecatory humour, I find it really irritating, so I can't relate to that one. I find it really sad and not humble and relatable at all. Anyway, tip number 22, now that we've mastered, 29, now that we've mastered humour. Trust to get the best. Trust is an intangible asset with massive value. That sounds so accountant-like. We have a trust deficit. Trust must be earned, hire carefully, let go of perfection, and lighten the controls. Those that know me know that I talk about trust often, and there's a massive book to be written just about how to earn trust and develop trust in the workplace and the impact of that. But we quickly move on to tip number 30, how to craft your distinctive management style. Your personal cultural upbringing may influence your style, as might your boss and the company's values and ethos. Choose your idols carefully. And that's all we've got to say about building culture. Tip number 31, why leaders must be darn good storytellers. Again, this goes back to like the humour one. It's likeable and influencing. Stories explain why and not just the what, the task of situations. Learn to tell stories. So how do we do this? Structure. They have a structure, make them attractive, comprehensive, relatable, have them trigger learning, ensure they clarify your message, and make them memorable. They should be inspirational and structured but not scripted. However, prepare and practice your stories. Tip number 32, the power of awesome appreciation. Say thank you. It means a lot to others. Even if you think you don't need it, don't assume that others know that you appreciate them. Make your appreciation swift, specific, sincere, and significant. Tip number 33 is about authentic leadership. Here's another book. Fake it, but you won't make it. Authentic leadership makes you more impactful. Authentic leaders show a sense of humour, have self-awareness, act as per their values, show empathy, humility, honesty, and reliability. And then tip number 34, we whip in with learning from the greats and 20 highlights from Marshall Goldsmith of bad habits. So those bad habits, let's rip through those quickly. Winning too much or putting a focus too much on winning, too much input from leaders, judgment, destructive comments, no but, however, when we're speaking when angry, negativity, it just won't work. Withholding information, not recognising others, claiming credit, making excuses, clinging to the past, playing favourites, refusing to express regrets, not listening, no gratitude, punishing, passing the buck, and being excessively about me. Whew. I hope you're ripping through this learning on leadership and management and the 42 steps, because now we're into chapter 4, the fourth and final chapter. Now that you've sorted yourself out, you know yourself and you're managing others, this is about managing yourself in your career transitions. So we rip into tip number 35 and how to unstuck yourself in mid-career. He has a U-shaped philosophy here. Early career, you have rose-tinted glasses, and then you move through and your hopes and plans meet reality. You get a reality check. And finally, at the bottom of the U, in the bottom of the pit, normally when you're about your mid-50s, there is acceptance that this is it in life. You realise that what is important to you, and you invest in this. You value social competition less and social connectedness more. You accept your limitations. Social reasoning, gratitude, and long-term decision-making improves, and you learn to cope with ambiguity and uncertainty. And then you're ready to move into transition. And he talks in tip number 36 and 37 about his transition stories briefly, and gives you a quick 1 or 2 page summary of his career. His first transition was from being an employee to an entrepreneur, and realizing that quitting isn't for everyone and that context is critical and you need to really explore your options. And the second part of that transition is tip number 37, transition number 2, entrepreneur to freelancer. And it's about having to step back, living your values, having the confidence to jump in and be a freelancer, and setting all those frameworks up, and then practicing gratitude. And then looking for those other options, he gets into tip number 38. What else can you be great at? And it's about uncovering your transferable skills. Search wider, know your technical skills, take stock of your soft skills, sell yourself, get qualified. Yep, just like that. And then tip number 39, lessons from successful transitions. And this is all about the author's transitions in his list again. That transitions are not impossible, but they are uncommon, people jumping from one career to the next. I think that's something that's going to be potentially more common as life goes on. Qualifications are important, and this is where your age and experience count. And that from that age and experience can come credibility and flex. Know thyself, target the right employer, and your connections matter. Tip number 40, wise up before starting up. And this has a page of tips about getting real about the challenges and the barriers before jumping ship and starting your own business or your own transition into a new workplace. Tip number 41, the science of strategic quitting. And this is OTT for one tip. It really could be a book in itself. There are 10 reasons why you should consider quitting, 8 reasons why people don't quit, and then 7 coaching tips to get over it. And then finally, tip number 42, when you move from being manager to what he believes is the pinnacle of it all, to the C-suite, the corporate suite, and helping you understand that life at the top is quite different. And there's power at the top and freedom at the top, but it also focuses on the responsibility, the opportunities that come there, and the risk, and that you need to move beyond technical and really get some clarity about the level of authority you have and using that authority. The key to that is to get a good team, manage the politics, and have the right mindset. And just when you think you've reached it all, there is an appendix on mental toughness, which was mentioned right back at the beginning. This is about taking control, challenge, commitment, confidence, anxiety control, attentional control, positive thinking, visualization, and goal setting. Whew. In summary, in reading this, I've seen new ways that some people think about leadership. There are some very disturbing and conflicting pieces of advice and guidance here, much of which I would not do or follow. There is so much content for one book. It is as if the author wants to show us everything he knows in 282 pages. It's good to read material that disturbs us. It makes us think and can give clarity in the way that we work and move forward. Good luck with this one.